Hello, hello, this is Terrorontor, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to another episode of Terrorontor Does Science, or something like that. We're actually going to be taking today a closer look at the Terroresque Mob Tower. As you can see here, we are actually in one of those right now. If we want to come out the bottom, we can see that I actually built one that is 10 layers high. But I'm not even going to show you how well it performed, because it was just not good enough. Man, not worth your time to watch, really. As a matter of fact, that's really what we're going to be addressing in this episode. We had some doubts in the last one about how good this design really was. I gave you all that compelling data, but some people just weren't convinced. And actually, some of them, it turned out, had very, very good points that I hadn't even considered. The whole exponential decay thing, it turns out, was truer than I thought it would be. Man, I did test this up 1 through 10 layers, and it was a pretty weird result, which actually made sense in the end. Every layer I added made it worse and worse until we got to the 10th layer, and no mobs were coming out at all, basically. It was just terrible. Horrible, as they say in Espanol. So man, yeah, not even gonna show you this. 10 floors of Terroresque mob farm are just awful. But we did have some other interesting data. 1 floor of Terroresque mob farm was about as good as 10 floors of the standard mob farm. So we're gonna look at some stuff like that. Also, somebody brought up that Endermen could spawn in here. Look at this right here. I hadn't even noticed this until it was pointed out to me. But if an Enderman stands right here, he has a 3-block high spawning space. And I actually did fly up through here on the 10 floor test, and that was hardly a problem. I had 1 Enderman in there out of all the tests I did, and it wasn't even a big deal. But it was still a very valid point. So today I decided I would set out to fix some of that stuff and make a design that's even better than this one, and you know what? I made that happen. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. As a matter of fact, we are going to look at something I have decided to call the Terroresque Mob Farm Mark II. No longer the Terroresque Mob Tower, because, frankly, as we're going to see in just a second, it's not a tower anymore. So let's actually go check that out right now. So here we are. Look at this big, fat old thing. All the glowstone on the top is not necessary. It's only to prevent mobs from spawning during the tests I was doing. Yeah, but look at this fat thing. It's like 37 by 37 blocks, 7 blocks high. The hole in the middle is optional. It was not there when I was doing the test, and it actually would lower performance in the test I was doing. So I'm just going to plug that up for now. But yeah, very interesting stuff. We're actually going to look at this tower today in comparison to a 10-layer high standard mob farm. Whenever I say standard, I mean the one used by Etho, the one, frankly, that pretty much everyone uses. So we're going to compare this today to the 10-floor tall standard mob farm. And that should be a pretty fair test, I think, just in terms of size. So actually, let's check that out. I did some tests on that already. And we're just going to look at some of those tests, just do a quick look at the videos, actually. I did take some 5-minute clips from each of those in testing. And we're going to speed those up 5 times. So you're going to watch 3 1-minute videos right now of various tests I did on these towers. And then I'm going to give you some data, and we can do some comparisons. So the first test we're going to look at will be a test from this thing. This is the 10-layer, that is 51 blocks tall, standard mob farm, the one used by Etho. That's the first video we're going to watch, and then we're going to move on from there. So let's check this out really quick. Actually, there is one minor difference between what you're seeing right now and what the test was done with, and that is this hole, which is too wide. I actually did this for a later test, which we're also going to watch, but first we're going to watch the test from back when this was only 1 hole wide. So I'm going to show you that footage right now, just a 1-minute clip to give you a general idea of how many mobs it produced. Then we're going to check out the actual data and compare it to some other stuff, blah blah blah. So let's watch that video right now. Interesting stuff indeed. So that tower we just checked out was 19 blocks by 19 blocks by 51 blocks high. That is the total volume of 18,411 cubic meters. That's just an idea of the size it took up. Pretty ridiculous. The total amount of mobs produced by the tower in 5 minutes was 78 mobs, which is about 15.5 mobs every minute. That's pretty darn good. Next, though, we're going to check out the test from this tower right here, the one with the 2 white hole. And this is because of a theory I had. My thought was that the mobs often in these towers kind of get bunched up in the center, like 2 or 3 of them will all come down at the same time, and they'll all be bumping together, and they will basically make it so that other mobs cannot fall down the hole. And I think, that's a shame. Let's actually just see if we can improve this design a little bit by widening it out. I know it'll make it take up more space, but it might be worth it in the end. So I gave that a try, and we're going to watch that video right now. Let's check it out. More very interesting stuff. So that tower was 20 by 20 by 51 blocks high. That is 20,400 blocks in volume overall. Not too much bigger than the last one. But just in that small amount of difference, it had like 4 more spawning spaces for a floor, so really not enough to make a difference. But that one, in 5 minutes, produced 93 mobs, where the last one only produced 78. That is quite a large difference, actually. That brings us up to producing about, I think it's 18.5 mobs per minute. That's actually much better. So that's pretty darn good right there. That was this design, just a small change I made just to see if it would help, and it did. But now we're gonna go check out my Terroresque mob farm Mark II and see how that fares against these two guys. Wow. So you should have noticed a pretty obvious difference there in rates of mob flow, I guess. And let's analyze that a little bit. So this tower is 7 blocks high, 37 by 37 blocks wide, I guess. That is a total of 9,583 blocks in volume, which, if you will remember back with me a little bit, is actually about 2 times smaller than those other towers we just checked out. Those ones were 20,000. This one is under 10,000, so that's a pretty darn big difference. And in terms of rates, well, I'm pretty sure you saw that enough from the video, but let's actually talk about those specifically. In 5 minutes, this tower produced 155 mobs, okay? That is 31 mobs per minute. That is about 2 times better than the... No, it's not, I tell a lie. No, it about is, actually. It's about 2 times better than the one whole standard mob tower. And it is about 1.5 times better, actually a little over that, maybe 1.6 or 7 times better than the 2 wide hole for the other test. Yeah, and that's actually a pretty big deal, because not only is this about 2 times more efficient in terms of mob production, but I would like to point out really quick that it takes up half the space. And when you're talking on a scale as large as we're talking about, which is thousands upon thousands of blocks, it's actually 10,000 blocks versus 20,000 blocks. That is a very, very, very big deal. So this takes up 1/2 of the space, produces 2 times more mobs. That means that on average, for every little block it takes up, it is 4 times more efficient. Bam! Can't argue with that logic. And you know, we're actually going to go address some problems that the other one brought up. First of all, this all-around is only 1 layer high, as we can see right here. Boom. That fixes that problem. It also fixes the problem of Enderman spawning. Enderman can no longer spawn in here. As we can see, the water flow, there's some funky stuff going on with here, and I actually am going to make a another sort of video, another building tutorial on how to build this design, because this is much, much better, as we can see. It fixes all of the problems, yeah, and it compares great against the 10 block high ones, or the 10 floor standards, so that's just phenomenal. I am going to make another video about how to build this, and in that one I will do a little bit more explaining, I guess, about some of this stuff. I'm also going to explain it a little bit more in depth in my Let's Play, so that'll be very exciting. Lots of cool stuff going on there. As you can see with this hole I punched through the roof, you can also make it so that if you want to, instead of having all of this stuff going on, you could take all of these signs out and have it so that you actually have a solid floor down here, or, you know, whatever. And have it so that mobs actually, instead of going down, swim up, because in my Let's Play, spoiler alert, I actually plan on building one of these underground, because it's so perfect for that. It's horizontal, I'm just going to build it about 30 blocks down under the ground, and you will see all this jungle terrain around, don't worry about that, it's much too far away to have affected the test. Yeah, the really cool stuff going on. In my Let's Play, I'm actually going to have mobs swim up through, like, a clock tower or something I'm going to build, and then fall down, so they'll actually go up to the surface from underground. It's just going to be really, really cool stuff happening. So if you haven't been able to tell, I am incredibly excited about this design. It is about 4 times more efficient if you're going to look at it in terms of space and efficiency, which is just phenomenal. I'm super excited. I'm going to build one of these in my Let's Play for sure. Great stuff happening. If you want to check out the building tutorial for this, feel free to click on this little annotation right here. Amazingness, amazingness, amazingness. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, leave a like. If you'd like to see more videos like it, leave a subscribey thingy. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment or send me a message. Tune in next time to see more amazingness. Thank you very much for watching. Terrorontor is out.